All right, let's look at the homework 2.8, problem number 4. All right, so let's find the derivative of this function here using the definition of derivative. All right. All right, so we want to find f prime of x. All right, so this is going to be equal to limit as h approaches 0. Right, so we need to have f of x plus h. So I'm going to go ahead and do that using the function notation. So every time we see x, we're going to put the x plus h. So 1 over square root of 7 plus x plus h, right? Minus f of x. So you just put exactly the same as the original function. Right, we have that. And then all over h. Right, then we're going to take the common denominator between these two quotient in the numerator. So you have a limit as h approaches 0. Right, so I'm going to leave h alone for now. Right, then the common denominator would be, right, so you have just to multiply these guys together. So you have a square root of 7 plus x plus h times square root of 7 plus x, right? So since we multiply the denominator by square root of 7 plus x, we have to multiply the numerator, which is 1 times square root of 7 plus x. Right, sign's a negative sign, so it's a minus. Right, then we multiply the second denominator by the first denominator. We have to multiply the second numerator by this first denominator, which is square root of 7 plus x plus h. Right. Then when you have square root minus square root, we can use this trick. Remember that when you have a minus b, and if you multiply by quantity a plus b, we can get a squared minus b squared. So we're going to use that here. I'm going to multiply, so I'm going to actually extend this here. Right, I'm going to multiply top and bottom on the numerator here, right, by exactly the same things except for the sign. So I'm going to do square root of 7x, 7 plus x, minus, actually plus, square root of 7 plus x plus h, right? Then we do exactly the same thing to the denominator, so we don't change the quantity here. So just copy exactly the same thing here. All right, and if you multiply out, this is what you're going to get. So you have a limit as h approaches 0. Right, so first thing I would do is I'm going to actually go ahead and combine the denominators. So the divide by h and divide by all that. So you have, so I'm going to put the h here, right? And then I'm going to have square root of 7 plus x plus h. And then you have a square root of 7 plus x. And then this denominator here, it looks very, very bad, but this is going to simplify, hopefully, plus square root of 7 plus x plus h, right? Then on top, what you get is, so you have a minus b times a plus b form, a squared, which is going to be just 7 plus x, minus b squared is going to be just a 7 plus x plus h, right? Be sure to put a set of parentheses because this negative sign applies to all three terms there. All right, then we can clean up. You have a 7 minus 7, cancel out. X minus x cancel out. So you can see that the only thing that's left on top is a negative h. So we can cancel h on the bottom and h on top. So that's going to give us a negative 1, right? then what you get is, so you have a limit. Actually, let's go ahead and send h goes to 0. All right, h is going to 0, so this guy is going to disappear, and here's another h. That guy is going to disappear. All right, so we're going to have -1 on top. All right, then we have a square root of 7x times square root of 7x, which is going to be just 7 plus x, square root of 7 plus x. Square root of 7 plus x. So that's going to be 7 plus x. All right. So here you have a square root of 7 plus x plus square root of 7 x plus 7 plus x. All right. So you have two of those. So this is actually addition. So it's going to be a 2 times square root of 7 plus x. Right? So if you clean it up, this is going to be -1 over. Right? So there's a 2 there. Right? So I took care of a negative sign and a 1 and then 2. Right? If you combine 7 plus x times square root of 7x, so that's going to be, so square root is 1/2 power, so it's going to be a 7 plus x raised to the 3/2 power. Right? So let's type it in. All right, so it's going to be a -1 over 2 times quantity. 2 times actually, I messed that up. -1 over 2 times quantity 7 plus x raised to the 3/2 power. All right, so I'm going to actually get rid of that parentheses there. All right, let's check the answer. All right, I came back and looks like we got the derivative correctly. All right, so let's find the domain of the function. All right, here. So since we have a fraction, so we have to worry about this guy being non-zero. So first we have to know that, make sure that the square root of 7 plus x is not equal to 0, right? Which means what? You square both sides, so you have a 7 plus x cannot be equal to 0. Then we can subtract 7 to get x cannot be equal to -7, right? So -7 should be eliminated, right? And also, since you have a square root, right? So inside the square root, which is 7 plus x, has to be non-negative. So we have 7 plus x has to be greater than or equal to 0. So because it's non-negative. Right, then this one, if you subtract 7, we know that the x has to be greater than or equal to -7. Right? By combining these two conditions together, right? One said x cannot be -7. The other one said that the x is greater than or equal to -7, right? So we have to eliminate a -7 there. So we know that this means that the x has to be strictly greater than -7, right? So if you write that in a interval notation, right? So we're going to have here -7, and then all the way to infinity, plus infinity, right? So we have that. And then for the derivative, domain is going to stay the same. So I'm going to just write down the same thing, plus infinity, right? So we have that. All right, let's check the answer. All right, I came back and looks like we got this one correctly. All right, that's it. I hope that this was clear.